Hey guys, it's Mrs. Cutting. I am going to do just a quick, hopefully quick, recap of what we've talked about so far in Unit 8. So we have looked at Lesson 1 and Lesson 2. Lesson 1 was focused on two types of data, numerical and categorical data. So numerical data is things where the answers are going to be numbers. So how long does it usually take you to travel to school? If we were to ask a bunch of people, all of their answers would be a number. So that's numerical data. Categorical data is going to be words or categories. So if we were to ask a bunch of people, how do you travel to school on most days? And they're going to have one of these choices be their answer. That's going to be categorical data. And in class, we did not get a chance to highlight our summary. So page 11, take a second and highlight. So it just goes back over our numerical and our categorical data. So they gave us a table with dog name, dog weight, and what kind of dog it is. So the weights of the dogs are numerical data because it's numbers, quantities, or measurements. And then the types of dogs, or the dog breeds, are categorical data, which is data containing values that can be sorted into categories. And then the other thing we talked about just real briefly in Lesson 1 was, never mind, that was in Lesson 2. Just kidding. Okay, so then Lesson 2, so the other thing in Lesson 1 was nothing, I guess. Sorry about that. So Lesson 2, we started talking about statistical questions. So we looked at examples and non-examples of statistical questions. So our examples were, what is the most common color of cars in the school parking lot? And a non-example is, what color is the principal's car? And what we looked at, or what we noticed, was that the statistical questions were questions that are talking about more than one person. The non-statistical were real specific, just talking about one person. So what actually makes a statistical question is it's a question that can only be answered by collecting data. So if we want to know what percentage of students in the school have a cell phone, we're going to have to go out and ask a bunch of kids, or ask all the kids in the school, do you have a cell phone? And then we can figure out what percent. Or if we want to know what kind of literature, fiction or nonfiction, is more popular among students in the school, we're going to have to go out and ask kids, which do you prefer, fiction or nonfiction? And then the other part of a statistical question is it needs to be, we need to expect variability in our data. So variability is like whether or not everyone's answers would be the same. So this would be a statistical question. How many cups of water do my classmates drink each day? Because we would have to survey a bunch of people and then report our data somehow. So we'd have to ask a bunch of people, how many cups of water do you drink each day? And we would expect variability because not every kid drinks the same amount of water. This question would not be statistical. Where in town does our math teacher live? Because there's going to be no variability. You guys all have me as a math teacher, and it doesn't matter who you ask, it's not going to change where I live. Okay, so then this summary had like a whole lot of stuff in it. So it went back over variability, which is if we expect everyone's answers to be the same, or whether we expect there to be differences in people's answers. So it does show variability if not everything's going to be the same. And then it talked about what needs to happen for it to be a statistical question. So when a question can only be answered by using data, and we expect that data to have variability, we call it a statistical question. So that's kind of the most important part really out of all of these, both of these two lessons. All right, so next you're going to do a couple things on Khan Academy, and I will have it up on Google Classroom. But in Unit 8, Lesson 2, you're going to do the data set warm-up, the statistical question practice problems, and then the quiz 1. And you should be able to do all of that just with the information from Lessons 1 and 2. All right, see you next time.